Okay, so I am interviewing my mom, Diana, and the main question is, what impact do urban legends have on people? So, how do you define an urban legend?
I think an urban legend is a story that is passed around. I don't know if they're necessarily true or rumor or a combination of both.
So, do you believe that urban legends are true personally?
There probably is some truth to them, but I think as time goes on, they grow and more get added to them as far as the story becoming embellished or changed, more dramatic.
Kind of like a game of telephone?
Yes,
Like it
exactly.
just changes over time?
Exactly.
How do you think that urban legends are like spread or created?
I think a lot of them are generational and within the community or the environment that you're in. So you would hear certain stories from your parents and your grandparents, and then you tell your children and grandchildren, and it just perpetuates over time, as well as stories within a community. For the few people, I guess, that still remain in a town or a city, I think urban legends are a lot of the community environment as well.
Do you have any urban legends that you think are like the most interesting, or any that you know about St. Louis, like where we live?
I think what's interesting about our area is we are known for ghosts. So, for instance, the Lemp Mansion with the Lemp family and the generations that committed suicide.
I didn't even think of that.
And that are apparently still haunting the Lemp house or mansion. It's still like it's a restaurant, and I think you can even stay there overnight. So it's really popular at Halloween time. There are places in Illinois, so in our geographical area, metropolitan area, I think Alton is one of them that is very famous for haunted homes. I think there's several books written about it as well, about this geographical area.
Is that like what you find most interesting? Like, what's the most interesting urban legend you've heard?
Long pause. I mean, there's, not talking about the St. Louis area anymore. I find Bigfoot interesting. I find Loch Ness, very interesting. Those are examples of generational legends going on and on and on. Also, the legend of the Bermuda Triangle is very fascinating. They talk about magnetic poles and things in the ocean and disturbances, and how there's planes and boats that have disappeared in that area and never resurfaced. I think I find that one the most fascinating.
Yeah. Do you think that any urban legend has changed your behavior in any way? So, like, you don't do something or you changed the way you do something? Like, with the flashing of the headlights, do you do that? Or do you not do that because you're scared? Like, you know?
Well, I have just recently heard about that, and that really scares me.
Because a lot of people flash their lights as like a common courtesy thing, like, hey, you don't have your lights on.
Yeah, turn on your headlights, or they'll flash somebody with their bright lights on, or they'll flash behind you because you're going too slow.
So do you think that you wouldn't do it? Like, would you flash your lights now that you...
I don't think so, because I just don't know anymore who is armed and what they're willing to do to be initiated into the gangs, and it just seems like it's asking for trouble.
Do you spread stories about urban legends? Have you ever told any or started one?
I think that, and I don't even know that if this could be considered an urban legend, because it's all documented and factual, is the exorcism that took place at Alexian Brothers Hospital, because that's where my dad, your grandfather, worked for over 30 years, 40 years. That the movie is based on a female in The Exorcist, but when it was truly a teenage boy that was brought there, and the priests did the exorcism, and they tore that part of the hospital down, and then, well, I should say first they closed it off, and the legend was that there was always cold air, and
did you tell people that? Because you worked there, didn't you?
yeah, we all talked about it. And you know, a lot of people didn't know that that story originated from apparent true happenings right here in St. Louis, and that it was actually a male and not a female.
So do you think that's how urban legends like get changed, is because people like don't have all the facts, for instance, like in that situation where it became a woman instead of a man, it became this instead of that?
Right, because I think, and even more so now, social media, I think, can spread urban legends much more easily than ever before in the past. And rather than have facts, some people might believe the movie, for instance, when it was embellished and changed.
What influence do you think urban legends have on people? Like, do you think it changes other people, like, when they get scared of stuff like this? Not necessarily scared, but when they hear stories like this, do you think that they change their ways or what they think?
I don't know if it changes people. I don't know that I've ever observed that.
So what influence do you think it has then? Like,
I think again with social media today, it's a lot different where people over the last hundreds of years, they either told their stories and sat around and told stories to each other, or they would write them, and that's how it was passed on, versus now with social media, it can just get completely blown up and distorted and changed. So I think it's going to change. I think these stories, some of them will get lost and some of them will just be changed. And
so you think it's kind of like a cultural shaping?
I think it's a shift. It's a paradigm shift because of technology.
What do you think that means for urban legends? That they're gonna kind of vanish a little more, or become less
I think
prevalent?
less prevalent, and I think they will. The story will change. The gossip will change about them.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me to be interviewed.